This project is on culture, and the culture that I chose to use for the project is the inmates in the North Carolina penal system. Culture is defined as a way of life for a group of people, and the group of people I chose to do the project on are the people that have been sentenced to over a year and a day in the Department of Adult Corrections. Uh, the way I chose to present mine is more or less kind of like I'm interviewing myself as a topic. I have a list of topics that I plan to discuss, and I haven't pre-written any speeches or anything like that. I'm just gonna go through the topics, and I'm gonna interview myself and stay on topic. What gives me the authority to use myself as a test subject is I've done a total of 7 years in North Carolina's prison system, and I know it fairly well. So I hope to discuss the topics that we've gone over in class on culture and intertwine that with the culture of the North Carolina prison system. Let's define the society that I'm talking about. The society I'm talking about inside this correctional institution is more or less inmates that have been sentenced to over a year and a day in prison. To be sentenced to over a year and a day, you usually have a felony or a bunch of misdemeanors, and that gets you in the Department of Corrections. The Department of Corrections has a official hierarchy system, caste system for inmates. There's close custody, medium custody, and minimum custody. Close custody is the lowest rung on the official hierarchy system. Close custody is maximum security. You're locked in a one-man cell throughout the night, and you're allowed throughout the daytime to interact inside that dorm of about 42 people. There's four phones. You're pretty much locked in the dorm unless it's time to go to the yard for an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon. Uh, the security here, there's gun towers on these prisons that oversee everything and any type of incident that may occur, disturbance. There's barred like guard booths inside the prison, plexiglass, bulletproof glass on everything. It's very secure. Everything's electronic, locks, doors, everything. With medium custody, there's no gun towers, and it's a privilege to be in medium custody. Once your first sentence, if you have over 10 years, it'll take you 2 years in close custody to even get to medium custody. Everybody else is up for a custody review every 6 months. But in this society, it's not solid. You don't come in one custody level and stay there. It varies up or down. So in this society, you can change your class system officially. The higher upper tier would be minimum custody. It's a very lax security. The inmates there are allowed outside of the prison in the daytimes to work either a state mandated job, or maybe they have their own job throughout the work release programs. And that's when you work at a real job on the street while you're in prison at nighttime or on your off time. Factory workers, there's a bunch of jobs that inmates have, and they get minimum wage or $10 an hour, and it's saved up till you get out of prison. And that's the official caste system here: close custody, minimum custody, and medium custody. Uh, the unofficial caste system is interesting. Elijah Anderson is a sociologist, and he has a theory he worked on called the code of the streets, and he more or less said that in urban environments that the society is dictated on violence or the perceived use of violence, and that's more or less your social currency. That's what gives you the prestige in the world, in your perception of violence and your actual violence. If you're a person that's prone to violent tendencies, then you're given a lot more respect, and you're given a lot more leeway and power and authority in these situations. And it's just like that in prison. The inmates that are sentenced to murder, known gang members that are known to murder people or to stab, assault people, those inmates are higher in prestige unofficially. they're higher up on the hierarchy system. If you are in jail for maybe shooting at a cop or any type of gun charges, the violent criminals are higher up in the prestige in prison. If you have a life sentence, several life, if you have like 5 life sentences, you're probably done a lot of stuff. People will give you the prestige that goes with that in this society. If you're a person that can get contraband, people that can get cell phones, drugs, or cigarettes, they're higher up on the hierarchy system. They're the high class, the prestige. They're the he has this, that, or contraband or whatever. Me, as far as like a middle class would be a customer. Somebody that has a big family on the street. They get a lot of visitations. They have a lot of money in their account, get mail, and they can afford to buy the drugs from the higher class. Those are like upper middle class people, people that that maybe they're not into anything, but they get a lot of money and they can go to the store. Maybe you're just a cool guy, or maybe you're from a certain area, bigger cities like Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham. Those people get more prestige than people from smaller towns or more affluent towns. Like if you're from Cary or the Outer Banks, you're lower class here in this society. People that are from more impoverished areas are higher class because you're perceived as tougher in certain situations and more violent. So that gives you prestige in this society. So those are more or less the 3 classes of individuals. The higher classes, like I said, the people that got access to contraband, whether it be cell phones, drugs, cigarettes, stuff like that that you're not allowed to have. The middle class would be people that can afford that, people that whose family had sent them a lot of money, and the lower class is people that aren't involved in anything, or they're from little towns, or they're weak, they're in prison for sex charges. Any type of weak individual is looked at as lower class. If you've ever snitched on anybody or informed to the police, you're lower class. Homosexuals are in the lower class. That's frowned upon in the society. And next, we'll take a look at the actual norms and values of the society and sanctions. Norms. What are the norms for the prison system in North Carolina? The norms or gangs. Gang members are normal. That's the norm. It's the majority of the inmate population, whether they're black, white, or Latino. Latinos have their own gangs. Whites have their own gangs. The Aryan Brotherhood, Aryan Nation, all that. Blacks have their own gangs. Bloods and Crips and Folks are the biggest. Uh, and that's norm. It's regular. Anything, if you're not in a gang, then you're probably from a big city. You have just a bunch of people you hang out with. But it's normal to be involved in groups and cliques. Anybody not involved with a group or a clique is definitely a part of a counterculture. There are some individuals that they maybe have a life sentence. They don't hang around a lot of people, but they're respected still. But that's that's not the norm. That's not the norm. That I'm not gonna say it's abnormal, but it's not a majority. There are a lot of older guys that used to hang out. Now if you're older, that's a different demographic here in the society, and you're not the majority. The younger majority is between 21 and 35, and you're involved in a gang, and you're got violent crimes, and that's prison. Um, Other norms. A lot of people do drugs. There's a big epidemic right now, opiums in society, and it's the same in prison. People do pills. People do uh, opium-based drugs. It's called Suboxone. There's a lot of stuff out there that's normal. Cigarettes is normal. So anything like that wouldn't be considered deviant in this culture. It's he's smoking, or that's not everybody does that. Everybody being that our value system's different. The number one thing we value is the counterculture of obeying authority. This is a value thing. If you don't listen to the rules, if you're known for going to the hole a lot or fighting a lot or any type of deviant behavior, that's a plus. That's a positive. It's a norm, and it's held in high esteem. If you're a person that constantly does stuff and you go to the hole for a year and a half, it's a value thing to say, oh yeah, I just got off of Max lockup. I've been in the hole for the last 24 months. That's a value, that's high esteem. People, it sounds crazy, but people that have been incarcerated a long time, it's a source of pride. It's a value thing. It's mostly based on the fact that you made it. You know, if you can say, oh man, I've been in prison the last 20 years. You can't tell me how to do this. That's a value. It's something that's held in high esteem. Oh wow, he's been locked up 20 years. That, you know, on the street here in this society, that's not something that is valued. You've been in prison. You know, it's looked at crazy. But in this society, it's a counterculture, and it's a value there. That you've been to multiple prisons, that you've been sent to the hole and been labeled a gang member. Those things are valued in the prison system. Things that are considered deviant would definitely be the number one taboo is informing to the authorities. If you are even considered a person that might do it, have done it in the past, or just sometimes people look like they're doing it and aren't doing it, and the sanctions are strict. You could definitely be harmed with a weapon, or at least assaulted by numerous people on numerous occasions. Some people won't let you live in the society. If you're new in the block and you've been sentenced to this prison and sent to this prison, and you're assigned a bunk in a dorm, and you're known for informing with the police, there are times that they'll excommunicate you from society, and you're not allowed to live there. And they'll tell you, like, you have to leave, and if you don't leave by the end of tonight, you know what the sanctions are. And so those people would then go to the authority and say, look, I have to go to confinement or protective custody because of their deviance, which is informing to the police. You don't tell anything to the police ever, nothing ever, or deviance in sanctions. Other cultural norms. It's good to have family. If you can get visitation, that's a great thing. Those people that you know, there's a lot of jealousy and envy over people that have, you know, girlfriends that come to visit, because everybody doesn't have that. For those people that are always calling family on the phone, it's a lot of jealousy. But that's a norm. A lot of people are involved with their families, and they see their kids on the weekend, and it's a thing of high esteem for us to get a visit, for somebody on the street to come and take 2 hours out of their life to come and visit you. That's something we hold in high esteem. Other things of value besides contraband, I guess, would be pictures of women. It's a male institution. The only females you'll see are in uniforms of police officers. So if you have pictures of women that aren't wearing those uniforms, that they're valuable. We don't get to see that, you know, regularly. So if you can either order them from the internet, or you got magazines, or whatever, they're valuable. They're valuable. You can trade them for food or money. They're valuable. Other valuable things, anything that you can't get. If, let's say, you had a bag of chips from an officer, they brought their lunch in. They said, hey, you want these chips? Because you guys were cool, which is so illegal, you can't do it. But it happens a lot. And if you had one of those bag of chips and they don't sell them in our store, those chips are valuable. Because you have people that have been in jail for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and they've never had that particular type of flaming hot Cheetos. And they'll pay you for it. They'll never have this chance again for the rest of my life, and they'll pay you for it. It's valuable. So those are the values and customs and norms of the North Carolina prison system. So everything that I'm talking about here thus far really is for the dominant culture. Obviously, in any society, there's subcultures and countercultures, but when I'm talking about the majority of inmates in North Carolina's penal system, I mean, I'm talking about, just the regular population. There are, demographic wise, if you want to split it up, you have guys that are known for playing sports. That's their validity in prison. That's their cool thing. That's what they're known for. That's what they're accepted for. Oh, y'all gonna play basketball tonight. It's gonna be a good game. We want to see that. And you can get a social status from that, from your activities. Maybe you do music. You sing songs or some type of music. You can play drums, or it's entertaining to us. It helps us pass the time. You can gain social capital from that. There's people that play cards and run gambling rings, poker or blackjack, or and there's money involved, and it's gambling. It's fun. It's a pastime, and you get social capital from that. You're a good card player. People know you from that, or there's people that are artists that do tattoos. I got all my tattoos in prison. Some of them it's some nice work. I'll show you one. Not doing too much. This is, can't really see my arm. You see that New York, whatever. I got the New York symbol right here. These music notes around it. All this was done in jail. It's pretty nice tattoos. I got, but I got a bunch of stuff. You can kind of see the Twin Towers in the back. You got guys that can do that. There's not just, guys that beating each other up all day long. It's not like that. There's little different. Everybody lives their life and finds some type of niche, some type of group to fit into while they're doing their time. But let's talk about some of the components of the culture. When we talk about material culture, it's prison, but it's like the street. It can be a fashion show. Guys that your standard issue uniform is a gray shirt, gray t-shirt with either brown pants or green pants, and the difference between that signifies your custody level. If you're wearing green pants, that's minimum custody. If you're wearing brown pants, that's medium and close custody. That's the official hierarchy system, and that materialistic culture shows. And well, actually, that's probably symbolic culture, but it's a little bit of both. That signifies your classification level, as far as you can leave the fence or this, that, and the third, or walk certain places without an escort from a CO. Tattoos are part of our material culture. Just like gold chains, or why in prison I had a G-Shock watch. They don't sell them there, so that is a status symbol. That's something that's esteemed. The normal sneakers we wear are New Balances. That's what they sell. But if you have a pair of Nike Air Maxes or Timberland boots or something out of the ordinary, that's symbolic of, well, that's material culture that shows it shows that you are something. It stands for something. You don't just have that. To have that in prison is saying so you did something extra, or you have some type of connection. So it's more than just meets the eye. Or if you see somebody eating like ribs or something, like it's not just he's eating ribs. That is something that's valuable. So it's more to it. And it also kind of, in this society, that blends so much with symbolic culture, because it reflects something that like even smoking a cigarette. If you are smoking a Newport, that's saying something. That it's not like being on the street. People can take, as a normal thing, people will take one Newport or Marlboro cigarette, break it in half, and sprinkle a piece of it on a rolling paper. And you can probably get 3 cigarettes out of a Newport. So if you see somebody smoking a whole Newport, that symbolizes that they have a lot of money to buy them, or they have a connection to getting them. And that in of itself, it will put you at like, whoa, you're smoking a Newport whole and not break, stuff like that. Wearing your hat a certain way, sideways, right side, left side, all of it means something. Certain colors. If you see certain tattoos, this is a big thing. If you see on mine, I have a 5-point star and it says love. It's symbolic of something. the opposite of a 5 point star would be a 6 point star, and it stands for something totally different. That small thing is a major thing in prison. There's a very big difference. It means something, and it stands for something, and it's unmistakable. So it's just a lot of communication. Even the way you tuck your pants into your shoes. If you cuff a pant leg in a certain way on the right side or the left side, it stands for something. You have religious groups in prison. They'll wear kufis for the Muslims. The Jews will wear the yarmulkes. You have Rastafarians that wear like a green and yellow and red hat that symbolizes the Rastafarian religion, and they're vegans. There's a lot of different cultures and a lot of different symbolism. It would just take so much time to get into that, but it is a major part of this society. And the biggest thing is to be affiliated with too many groups. In that case, you're kind of looked at as, not loyal to any of them. If you're a Christian and a Muslim, you can't really be both. And you could pick one and maybe sympathize with the other's belief, but you can't be both. You can't be a blood and a crip. You can't be this and the third. Like, so when you see people that are in numerous groups, nobody takes them seriously, and they'll be you have to pick a tribe, more or less, to in this society. You pick your tribe, you stick with your tribe, and for better or worse, that's who you are, and that probably won't change. If you hang out with homosexuals, you're gonna hang out with them for the remainder of your time in prison. So, anything else that we needed to go over with that? That's about it. We'll go on to the next segment. Closing, I did a 7-year participant observation, more or less, in the North Carolina prison system. What kind of intrigued me to the events going around me was I took a criminology course, actually, in prison with UNC Chapel Hill via their correspondence course program. And it taught me a lot about myself and my circumstances that led to me making those decisions. And it started me looking around at my environment and just seeing. I was just interested in how people made these choices and how so many of us, I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people that are just locked up for years on top of years. I did 12 years in prison, and I got friends doing 30 years, 20 years, 5 years at a time. Like, it's just such a normal thing in my urban culture that it's almost like nothing. And then when you're around people doing 20 years, the little 5 I do here and 5 I did later, a year and a half I did for a firearm charge, it's nothing. But in the regular society, it's crazy. Like, and you don't see that when you're involved in the culture, like our textbooks talk about. When you're immersed in the culture, you don't see the culture for what it is. It's only somebody else that comes and sees it, and it's a shock to them that this is what you're doing. This is normal to y'all. What are y'all doing? And it's just interesting to me that now that I've been able to see both sides of the coin and learn about it. So I chose to pick this topic just because it helped me explore aspects of my life better and teach it to others. Before we go, just some other things just to wrap up. The culture shock of first going to prison is really just the worst. If you've never been to jail before, you come in looking like a deer in a forest, and people can see it because you haven't learned the language, the way to walk, the way to talk, the way to look at people. If you're constantly looking down, you're viewed as weak. If you can't look people in the eye face to face, if people approach when you appear nervous, you're prey. You're weak. Something's gonna happen, but you learn quickly to adjust to that. and it's a sink or swim mentality. There's times that just it's if you weren't from this society, I've never been. There's so many things that just look so foreign to you. Just the way that people view friends, and when it's time for inmates to go home, people aren't necessarily happy about it. They're not, oh, my brother's getting out and brother do good. Some people genuinely are happy, but a lot of people, they're never getting out, or they've got so much more time and years being behind bars. They're not happy to see other people going home. They're jealous, and that's real. There's no friends. There's no buddies. It's just we're together to fight together while we're here, and when we're not next to each other, you're nobody to me. If you ain't, you're nobody. If you're going home, like you're nobody, and it's just such an interesting culture, and it was something I just wanted to explore and share with you guys. That's my project. I've been a little sick, and honestly, it's the pollen, and it's kind of my culture shock because I've been so confined for so many years. I haven't been exposed to this much pollen, and my body's not taking it very well, so my eyes are watery and puffy, and my nose is stuffy. So, here's my project. Thank you.